follow your curiosity wherever it takes you, even if it seems a little bit weird or people judge you for it. Just go towards it, and you know what? You'll find your people there.
Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam. Oh my gosh, there we go. The little thing goes 1, 2, 3. We're recording. There's no turning around. There's no turning back. This thing has started. I'm excited. I don't know what to do. I just need to drink more caffeine and just hang on for the ride. My guest today is an absolute badass. I can't wait to introduce you to her. Well, who is she, Casey? Who is she? Well, let me tell you about her. She is a marketing leader, a thought leader, a teacher, a disruptor, that real kind of get it done operator, and a wizard. I'm just going to put it out there. A wizard, magic wand. There's some things here written down. She has helped companies go from a little tiny 350K a year to like 9 million in 2 years. How do you do that? Magic or crime? And it was probably magic. So I can't wait to introduce you to the head of GTM, the founder of Activate the Magic, Jacki Leahy. Welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to be here, and I loved that intro. Thank you. I'm going to play it for my family on Thanksgiving.
Yes. Hello, family. Happy Thanksgiving.
Now entering.
Yeah, totally. Does this need to come out on Thanksgiving? I don't know if people are listening to a marketing pod on Thanksgiving, but if you are, shout out to you. Yeah. Hey, I'm excited to have you here. We're gonna learn so much stuff. I mean, you are weaving magic across the marketing world. So I'm just gonna shut up and pass you this thing. It's heavy though, but obviously you work out. So 1 second.
I've been training for this for a couple weeks.
Okay. Here you go.
Okay.
You wanna grab that? You got it?
Oh.
You got it.
Oh.
Go for it. All right.
Oh.
Jacki, just take Thor's hammer and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
There is no such thing as best practices. Hacha!
Wait. No such thing as best practices?
No.
What do we even talk? Why are we even on this podcast?
No.
Can we not share best practices with people listening?
No, it's just a bunch of things that worked sometimes, and maybe they'll work again. But they're getting more and more less likely to work because we're just advancing so quickly and things are moving so quickly that the best practice is to not use best practices.
Don't use, right. So if someone's like, hey, this is a best practice, don't use it. Because it was what, someone's environment? Like tell me more. You have to prove this to me too. And there's some suspicious people listening going, yeah, I don't know. This sounds like clickbait. And if it got you into this episode, then welcome. But yeah, tell me more. No more best practices.
Yeah. First of all, nobody knows what we're doing. We're all making it up. If you're on the junior side and listening to this, nobody knows what we're doing. Like, we're just children in like bigger bodies and complex egos. Like, we don't know what we're doing, and things are just moving so quickly that everything that I knew about cold outbound, right, is defunct now, and it's happening so fast. And I really want to switch everybody to like systems thinking, like aggressively curious first, and solve for the biggest constraint ahead of you. Step back, reassess. Now what's the biggest constraint? Because when you solve that first constraint, you have no idea what the revenue system is going to look like, right? Upstream, downstream, it's you can't predict. I like to say I'm so good at solving problems, you'll have a whole new set of problems.
That's true, right? You solve one, and you're like, oh, wait, there's more. But okay, before, it sounds like you've got a really cool, this is great. You have a way of getting us out of this hole of, okay, it's not best practices, it's this thinking's methodology. And I want to dive into that. But before we get to that, where does this come from? Why do we gravitate toward best practices? Why do they make us feel comfortable?
We wanna feel safe, right? And then, like, especially I'm a geriatric millennial. I was born in 1982. I'm a zillennial. And I think we especially grew up like, you gotta go to college, you gotta get your degree. Oh, a master's degree? Oh my god, a PhD? Like, that's really making it. And that is becoming less and less and less relevant to the point that, like, family friends who they're like, "I wanna go into marketing. I'm gonna go to blah, blah, blah for I wanna get my undergrad in marketing." I'm like, "Please don't."
It's a really good school, blah, blah, blah.
No, it is so like, if you wanna go for, like, the social experience, like, loosely take some classes and, like, on the side actually become an entrepreneur, like, awesome, do it. But, I'm halfway through an MBA that I'm not going to finish. I'm just not going to. Um, if it's written down, it's already obsolete. So it's really about the people who are just fascinated by people and solving problems, and the people who wake up every day and say, "How the heck can I deliver even more value today?"
So there are so many things to dive in on this. Uh, yeah, funny story though. I was looking at PR colleges, and there's a Syracuse apparently was this back in the day, and they were like, oh, their PR business school was like amazing. So I called the school and was like, I'd love to shoot some questions over to the department chair. And they're like, well, I'm sorry, he doesn't have email, right? And this was a few years ago, but I had email, and if the department chair at Syracuse PR school doesn't have email, I was like, "This is not the school for me. What are we gonna be doing? Like, doing, like, the printing presses with, like, swabbing it with ink and everything?" I don't know. So, yeah, like, things like that are becoming less and less relevant, and I guess that's kind of a bigger symbol for all these other best practices you've seen out there. Have you seen any horror stories from people using best practices and then not getting the results they thought?
Yeah, so as of March, and then there was another update just in September, the spam filters, right, for, I think, Google, Microsoft Exchange, and Yahoo, all of the spam filters just got supercharged and then even more supercharged to the point where if you get one spam report, like, you're done. You're done. And if you didn't, well, I guess it is a best practice, but like to use a alternate URL. Like if you used your like main website URL, you could be cooked. Cooked.
Yeah. I mean, and people can be careless, and that stuff stays with you long after the marketer before you is gone. You may inherit that
Oh
thing.
yeah. Oh yeah. And so I think one of the coolest things about running an agency and consulting in general is that I get to see all of the use cases, like just everywhere, right? And so my like origin story was at Link Squares. I was hire number 10, first lady, and I was brought on to build the business development program, right? How are we going to do this? And that's how we went from 350K ARR to 9 million in 2 years without a marketing hire. I mean, cold outbound is basically marketing, but without like a specific marketing hire. Um, and I owe my whole career to cold email, right? Outreach. At the time, I used DataFox for like account scoring. But just recently, like one of our clients, they had been doing all the right things, right? Like using the domain warm-ups, switching URLs, not putting clicks, like all of the best practices. And before, for like in November, December of last year, they were getting 56 to 70 hand raises a day from their cold outbound methodology. Fast forward to March, they're lucky if they get one.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, because of the spam filters, right? So, like, and that'll just knocked me off my kilter, right? Like, I've got one tool. It's called outbound. Like, if all else fails, I can send an email. Um, but yeah, it's just no longer a viable um, go-to-market motion, tactic, strategy, whatever you want to call it. And to the point where I am not letting my clients even do it. I'm like, it is a waste of time. It is an absolute waste of time to cold outbound emails. And so I was a little bit like lost adrift, kind of like, what am I gonna do? Like, talk about disruption. And but I'm a curious little cat, and I'm surrounded by brilliant, curious people. And one of my friends, Stephen Morrill, he stumbled upon a little tool that he was using with LinkedIn, and he kind of reverse engineered how to do cold outbound via LinkedIn, but not in the creepy way that we all think of when we think of
100%, yeah.
right. We're all like, like, believe me. I was like, Steven, don't you know? But he's really reverse engineered it for the people's people who like genuinely wake up in the morning and want to solve problems and like see sales of service. Marketing is truly service. Like, hey, I just met you, but I know you, and this is probably a problem that you're facing, and let me solve it for you, like here, sort of thing. And just kind of taking a totally different point of view towards the cold outbound. So like all of those best practices and completely shifted. But what didn't shift is being a system thinker, leading with curiosity, and just solving what's in front of me.
All right, let's talk through those. You said system thinker. Tell me about what does that mean? It sounds cool. I want it. I don't know what it is, but I want it.
Yeah. So I think we like to think we're an expert in something. We want to hang our hat on something. And oftentimes that's to the detriment of the company. Um, as marketers, as salespeople, like it's really becoming just kind of go to market, right? And we really need to be stewards, kahus in in,
Wait, what?
in Hawaii. In Hawaiian, they don't say they own their pet. They say their pet's kahu, which means like steward, like temporary custodian, like protector.
We got the coolest words in Hawaii. So cool.
So I don't know if I'd go that far, but maybe, yeah, like the revenue engine's kahu, right? Like this is this is up to me to like protect and grow and nurture. Um, and a lot of times we need to take off our this is what I'm good at hat, right? If if the if my best tool is a hammer, a Thor's hammer of cold outbound email, like I'm gonna see everything as a now.
Oh, 100%, right?
100%. Like I'm sorry, like
Yeah.
yeah. But we really need to like step back, like interrupt that, step back, breathe, look at the entire revenue system. And kind of remember those like magic eye posters where you'd have to kind of like blur your eye to like
Yeah, why did those go away? Those were so cool. Was it like I know we're dating ourselves, but, like,
oh, cool.
those were so cool. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
my elementary school had them. So, as a kid, you're standing in line, you just let me just zone out staring at this thing. Like, describe it for people who don't know what we're talking
Oh my gosh, it's like a kaleidoscope looking, like your friends who like fish kind of poster, like kaleidoscope looking, just abstract art. But if you kind of like relax your eyes and look past it, like this like 3D image pops out, and it would be like a peace sign, a dog, a house, a school of fish. And when it first came out, I remember it was at the Pheasant Lane Mall.
about.
We're,
Yeah, let's go.
we're both New Englanders. Pheasant, and I just remember like whatever that framing gallery store, like art store,
Sure.
and there's just like a crowd around the Magic Eye poster that was like on like a
They're all
what do you
just
call it?
staring at it like it's some
And, like,
alien
then you
artifact?
have to wait your turn to get to the top, and you're like, I don't see that, and then people are like, oh, I see it. You're like, oh, well, I want to see it.
Wow, I never realized that. I mean, I guess it was kind of ubiquitous by the time that I saw it, but yeah,
Yeah. So really taking a step back, kind of like like the reverse of crossing your eyes, maybe,
right.
and seeing the big picture, and really picking out that what is the largest constraint, and and sort of wipe your brain of any best practices, anything that worked. Of course, you can get like advice for people who've dealt with the situation, but things are moving so fast and evolving so fast that anything that worked probably won't work now. And really, yeah, like teaming up and all the other go to market leaders, like let's team up and solve for this. But yes, of course, there's lists to normalize and da 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 da. Yes, of course, but that's not what's important right now. Important is this. We gotta solve this. And once you do solve quickly, not perfectly, put something in.
Well, how do you solve a problem? Talk me through that methodology. Hey, here's a problem. Like, what's a good problem to your clients experience a lot of?
Well, they're ugly problems.
It's true.
I love them all.
Yummy problems. What?
Give me the chaos. Marie Kondo. I love mess.
I read her. She has a cartoon book,
No way.
and I read the whole thing. I got it for Christmas, and I asked for it, and I read the whole thing. Took notes. Like that's how I wanted to consume her material. But I don't know if you heard. She had a kid, and then she said everything she said before was crap. You heard that? But yeah, and all the parents are going, "Yeah, we knew you were going to do that."
So, if you take one takeaway from today's podcast, don't have kids.
You heard it here.
Take. No, but like taking a step back and looking at it, I love to use the Winning by Design Jacco Van de Kuge bow tie. So he's got a data model, and everything's open source. You can literally go to like Winning by Design and click on blueprints. Everything is there. And so it looks like a sales funnel turned on its side and then mirrored. So it looks like a bow tie, right? So starting at the top, at the beginning, you've got awareness, education, selection, commitment.
Yeah, I found a photo. It looks like a bow tie, exactly like you described.
It looks like a bow tie. So maybe we can do like graphic on the video podcast. Yeah. So like actually, and there are benchmarks based on what your revenue and like what your ACV and like stage are. There are benchmarks, but you probably don't even need those if you just kind of like look at what's happening with the volume of what's going on at each stage, the time that it takes to go through those stages, and the conversion rates. Right? If any of your conversion rates from this to this is 100%, you don't have a funnel. You've got a tube.
And either nothing's. It's not like everything's going through. Everything's just flying out. You're not converting anything.
Or yeah. Well, let's go through that, right? If and that's like a classic friction point, like that happens early on, right? Like for example, at Link Squares, the CEO brought me in. He was my mentor, so he like knew me, and he showed me this tiny little sad room, and it had 5 smelly AE boys in there. And he said, everybody, pull up your Google Cal. They're all empty. He's like, Jacki, fill those up. I was like, okay, on it, great. And so at first, anything that I booked on their calendar, they were like, oh, Jacki, he's the best. But how soon they forget.
I know, right? I can imagine.
How soon? All of a sudden, and it's not like, hey, Jacki, let's like, like a lot of coming through, and we can probably refine this. Of course, I took it personally. They're like, you're giving us crap.
Yeah, the sales are weak.
The leads are weak.
The leads are weak.
The word.
You're weak.
Like on purpose, right? Like the constraint was, you don't got no meetings.
Yeah, the standard was 0.
0. No, too many. Great. And like, I took it personally. And going back, Jacki, that was actually good news. So I think that's a little nug if you're listening. Like, if you hear complaints, it's probably good news. It means something's.
That sounds like a great best practice.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's a good point. Like no news is sometimes bad news in that case. Like it's good to get feedback.
Yes. Yeah. Be more committed to winning than I am in the moment to how I feel about what's so.
Yeah, the team goal over your ego and status. And
so easy, so much easier said than done. So much easier, especially when you care a lot and you're not getting a lot of sleep and you're like, But
so how did you fill them up? How did you fill up those AEs? They went from blank calendars to
they like to say I was a trebuchet of friendliness. Trebuchet being the superior siege weapon.
Absolutely. I played video games and a trebuchet. Like, people know about the trebuchet thanks to video games. Like, if we didn't have those, no one like, "What's that?" Oh, very good siege weapon, good attack range, good damage, very slow to move it though, you know?
Yeah, so if you wanted to talk about that, like, how did I fill those up? Yeah, I super curious. I figured out a way to start interrupt people's days and start conversations. I and I know it sounds weird, but I think I was put on this earth to interrupt your day and start a conversation, right? So I figured out a way to do that, repeat it, scale it.
You like you were saying earlier, you were helping them, you were being a s providing a service. Like, "I'm gonna interrupt your day, but I'm pretty sure it's because you have this problem, and
Exactly.
we'll solve it."
It's
Yeah.
all about the come from. And if you're listening to this podcast, like, if A, you're listening to this podcast, or B, you're worried about it, you're probably not at danger of having a poopy come from, right?
I don't know, we can get lazy sometimes in marketing, I'm guilty of it too, but I gotta keep reminding myself, like, kinda cynical, like, why exactly would I open this?" You know, would I even open that? Does it help me? Yeah, my biggest pet peeve is like "Hey, we just launched a new website. Come check it out." You're like, "Why? I don't wanna see your website. What does your website do for me?" Like, does it rain money down? If so, I will check out your website, you know?
Well, you know what? I think this is looking at the system of your life. That's probably the largest constraint. So I don't care what I'm doing.
No, no, I mean,
Not you personally, but like, no, in that, in like, hey, yeah, if you are listening to this and you're like, actually, I don't know why I'm generating these leads or doing this outreach. Like, babes, there's a lot of way to make money. Wow. It's how, I know that we're kind of in a wonky spot economically and job market wise, and there's an election, but like at the end of the day, like, what are you here for? Man,
yeah, what's your purpose? These are these hard questions we don't wanna ask ourselves because either we're afraid of the answer or we're afraid of the fact that we don't have an answer just yet.
yeah, and it's like the scariest thing is just sitting in the discomfort of I don't know what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. Yeah. Um, and I promise you, if you breathe through it, it's not nearly as bad or lethal as you'd imagine it would be. Like actually having the emotional fortitude and like regulation to like go through that dark soul of the night or whatever. Um, Now it might not be your time to do that. Like if finances are wonky and you just gotta put money in, yep, not your time, not your time. But um, if you've got the bandwidth, then what are you doing, babes? What are you doing?
Should we call it the name of this podcast episode "Dark Soul of the Night"? Would that be no, we need clickbait, right? Yeah. Um, but yeah, figure out why you're doing what you're doing, otherwise everything you do is just gonna be so short-sighted, and you know what I found is that marketing it's so easy just to be like, "I just do things," but man, find something you can market that you're passionate about, that you actually wanna help people do, you know, or you care about the ideal customer, or you care about the product or the service. Those yeah, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Waste of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like if you do have like a weird desire to provide some sort of value or service, like there's a law of the universe. Somebody out there is looking for that. Like you wouldn't have that desire if the other side of that coin wasn't out there.
Where do you get your input from? Where do you like to learn?
Oh, TikTok.
For real?
Oh yeah, for real. I actually have a really wild take on TikTok. Um,
Yeah, tell me.
I it is it is a permission slip to observe the universe. And how TikTok learns what to show you is what you pay attention to, what you interact with, So it's an inside job. It's an inside job. It's like looking in a mirror. It's gonna mirror back to you, not what you want, but who you are.
By what kind of videos and things keep showing up.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you don't like what if you don't like the feeling of what you're watching, if it's not what there's something that you get to look at to shift, but it's like looking in the mirror and waiting for the mirror to smile first.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective you raise about that. I in my mind, because I haven't really TikToked in a while, but I've definitely gone down like YouTube video rabbit holes, like a similar decision type tree, and it's interesting. It's reflecting yourself, and also just the idea of like I know when I'm browsing that if I watch this video, I might, and I've seen it happen. I will get more of that kind. So it's been a great reminder for me to like, oh, here's a clickbaity video, but it's on some like negative topic, and you might want that short term hit of like, oh well, I'm curious, but it's like, yeah, but I don't want my feed full of that stuff. So maybe I'm just gonna stay away from it. But also in life, like how much when we just like take a nibble here, in a good way, we might get more of that. But in a bad way, we can go down, the wrong path that way.
Yeah. Um, so absolutely TikTok. But like I use it as a habit, like a self-coaching kind of like self-interruption kind of training.
How so?
Yeah, so if I see something that like my higher self would be like, this isn't for you, but my like kind of like,
Right.
it's like what okay, who do I get to be in this moment? And it's faster than YouTube, right? Um and so like kind of pattern interrupting in myself to like shift and shift. It's like what I focus on is what I'm going to get, right? And what's out here is just reflecting who I am.
Is it paying attention to like how long you're on a video,
Mhm.
if you like it, all the things?
Yeah.
And so is the best way to not get more of that to just scroll through it?
Mhm. And you got to get and so that's the cool thing about using it as like a habit self interruption training because TikTok knows if you stutter, right? If they know it knows if you're into it and it knows how to get you, and then it'll come back late at night when your defenses are down.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if it does.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
no, it does.
it does.
It does.
It
Yeah, the
knows.
feed gets real night, like 2 a.m. Mm. Eh?
It's like, "Okay."
When I start hearing that conspiracy talk sound, if you know, you know, I'm like, oh, oh, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, what does it show you during the day, and then what does it show you at 2 a.m.?
Oh yeah, different things.
So what do you do? How do you coach yourself? What do you tell yourself when, let's say, a video pops up, you're like, "That's not good for me." Your higher self is like, "No, it's not. It's not me."
Yeah, so it's training my reflex to scroll. Just like in life, if someone comes up to you, like not all gossip is bad, right? Like I think gossip gets a bad rap because it's like anti-feminine sort of thing. But like,
It probably all is, though. What do you think?
well, no, like that's how women shared knowledge,
Oh, interesting. I
right?
get you.
Yeah, so there's like a demonization of gossip. So there's sharing of knowledge and like watch out for that guy kind of thing
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
versus like you need to teach him like
Did you see what kind of tunic she was wearing? Yeah.
like so who do I be in that moment when sun comes up with something real needy?
I love that. Alright, so is that any other learning sources, any other input sources, or is that a primary one?
Yeah, yeah, more than tricked out. Yeah, yeah. I love podcasts. So I am thoroughly obsessed with Alex Hormozzi's books and podcasts, and his wife Layla Hormozzi.
He just had a thing on YouTube. I I got like 20 minutes into it. It's an hour and a half, and he's like, "Hey, this is everything I know from the last 13 years. Let me just tell you." And actually, it's very astute and great reminders, and also, yeah, I gotta fix that. He started right at the very beginning saying like, "Okay, why do people buy?" You know, and then also not selling. You know, do you sell like big deals, small? You know, it's very, very helpful. I mean, he's a
He
smart
gets it
guy.
on the way. He's wildly intelligent, um, and, like, profoundly generous with what he's giving away, in a non, like, he's like, nothing he says is gonna be like, "Wow, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard," but just the way he explains it, it just, like, hits different. Like, $100 Million Offers, that was his first book. It genuinely changed my life.
Really.
Yeah.
So I
Um,
gotta go read that
yeah.
for real.
Yeah, it's on Audible. What I actually recommend is get it on Kindle and Audible and
Okay,
listen to it while you read it.
I'll get it right now. Yeah. Um, I saw those 2 books on his thing. You know what I wonder? I wonder if YouTube showed me that video because you and I talked about him on the prep call,
Probably,
I think.
probably. Did I tell you I'm going to a private conference, private
You
workshop with him?
did? Yeah. T Tell me
Mm,
more about that. So,
yeah,
yeah, what's
September
the deal?
18th and 19th. I'm going to Vegas to the headquarters, and I get to be in the room for 2 days with his team and an hour and a half with each Alex and Layla. It like I'm genuinely I don't think I've ever been more excited for something in my whole life. And I'll tell you why. Because Alex's work gave me the permission slip to be like, hey, it's totally okay that I'm obsessed with this thing. It's totally okay that I want to create epic shit. It's like, why? Like, I was pretending to be normal, right? Like, the whole entrepreneurship thing, like, it was and so cringy to me the whole time. The whole time. Like, I remember in college, like, they're like, "Yo, you might be an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that is embarrassing. Like, couldn't be me." Like someone's like, "Oh, let me be a life coach." Like, like only the people who should not be doing that or say they do that sort of thing. Um, but he like seeing him like genuinely just rawly, vulnerably building in public and being like, this is actually what I'm working on right now. It's just so like cool, so inspiring. Um, and I don't have to hang out with people who don't light me up. I can actually go. Scott Lee said this yesterday that it's like you want to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right?
Who said
And sort
that?
of thing.
I'd heard that so many times. I
Oh,
didn't know
that's
who
it.
said that.
Yeah, that's a big quote, but he said it this way. He's like, you know what I try to be? I try to be the dumbest, brokest person in the room. Right? Like, yes. And then you normalize to them, and guess what? Off you go.
Yeah. That's totally it. I was gonna say that, when you're like, "I only wanna hang out with people that light me up," it would be funny if our computers accidentally dropped at that moment, and I'm like, "Jackie, where'd you go?" I'm like, "Okay, here's my next question. Who are you? Who are you? Take me back in time. Little Jackie days, did you know you're gonna be doing all this stuff, activating magic for people, fixing their go-to-market, getting philosophical on a podcast? Like, take me back in time. What were you thinking about back then? What was it like?"
Yeah, I always knew I was an alien. Like, I knew that I was different. Yeah. I knew that I was made for more. I knew I was here for a big reason, big purpose. And I was desperate to hide that. I just wanted to fit in.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was even Alex, who we were just talking about, who was like, to be exceptional is the opposite of fitting in, you know, because you're the exception. Yeah, I really had to think about that one for a moment. But yes,
Yeah.
you were just trying to hide it the whole time.
Hide it. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah. That with that nose cap.
And guess what? That nose cap would come off, right? And I'd be like, uh-oh. I didn't mean to win that spelling bee. Oops. Like,
Right?
mhm.
So there were little glimmers of of awesomeness that was
Converse,
shining
yeah.
through, and
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, like, looking back, I'm like, "Silly girl," like,
did you win a
and
spelling bee?
oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Are you good
Not
at
the school
spelling?
one, just the class one.
Oh, that's cool though.
I think I, like, kind of intentionally tanked the school one, like, because I got to the
Really?
oh, yeah, I did. Um, and when I got out, I remember one of my peers' parents, they went, "Yes." Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, core memory. Yeah.
Dang.
Like, people like it when I fail. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
internalizing that.
I'm much more palatable, acceptable, delightful.
Where'd you grow up?
Drake it. It's on the border of,
Wow.
Mi New Hampshire.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
yeah, and my parents got divorced when I was going into 7th grade, and then my mom got remarried in the middle of 9th grade. So I switched from Drake at high school, very blue collar. I was in the marching band, like the most wholesome friends ever. And we moved to Carlisle. So I went to Concord Carlisle High School. And I had no idea what it was. It's super, if you're not familiar, like
No.
super white collar, upper class, like, boop. And so like I showed up day one and I was wearing like a polyester, like pastel striped, like wide V-neck thing and like flare bottoms, jeans. And it was like you could hear the record scratch because everyone else was in Abercrombie and Columbia vest. Yeah. North Face vest. Yes.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I don't know what? Oops.
so and it sounds like there's just a trend of these things that are just what was sort of the breakthrough where that nose cap came off and stayed off?
Yeah, a couple years ago, like a little bit over time, I think the big cap removal was a couple years ago. I did like a transformational leadership training. There's a million of them out there, like Landmark. I did Landmark before. There's like there's a billion of them. The one that I did is called Atlas Project. It's a nonprofit. I owe my life trajectory to it. Um, so I did it. It's coming up on 3 years ago that I went through as a participant. And you know what I realized? That I can want things and people want me to get the things that I want. I had self-abandoned to the point of I needed to realize,
It's okay to want things. And Dan Sullivan says, "Want what you want." You don't even try to justify it or explain it. Just you just want it.
but man, what a trip. And it's really I've had to re-educate myself. Like, what do I like? What do I want?
Yeah, I'm in that club. I'm a fellow card carrying member of what the hell do I even want? Sometimes that's the harder question, right? Easier to be like, "Oh, this stinks." The question is, "Okay, well, what do you want?" You're like, "Oh, yeah, I have no idea. I'm just gonna complain about what stinks." Yeah, yeah.
I can't even come up with a word when I was first asked that question. Like, what do you want? Like, you know what I want? What I went in being like, because their question was like, "What's your vision? What do you want to use this training for?" And I finally realized I was like, you know what? I My vision is to have a vision, and sometimes it's just as simple as that.
And so, I mean, if you have something you're marching toward or scrambling, climbing toward, at least
And when that vision is bigger and juicier than the inconvenience and pain of the things that you got to do, then you do them with ease and glee because you're like, this is in service of my vision. Like I'm I'm here to shift the consciousness of the planet. I'm here to catapult millions of careers. Like I see career as like a, a medium of self-expression. Like sculptors have clay, right? Musicians have guitars and pianos. I have career.
that sounds like a clip right there. A medium of self-expression. Career as a medium. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just the more and more that I like go into it, like the more excited I get. And so like how I'm building my agency, Activate the Magic, um, everybody is living on our growth edge.
Oh, yeah. Who's a good fit for that, for those listening? Who who's a good fit to work with you?
Yeah, B2B tech companies on that 0 to 10 million ARR sprint. So definitely like figuring things out, super scrappy, and our packages kind of grow with you from right hand executor, like that technical executor. Like you've got the what, we've got the how, we'll get it done. And then as you grow, like, oh, you need a director of RevOps and a couple of analysts, like we kind of grow with you up to like one of our clients. I'm like, so basically we had to create a secret menu because we're in the department now. Like, yeah,
Yeah, you're like the In-N-Out burger of
yeah,
marketing,
yeah.
go to market.
It's really fun. Yeah. So yeah. So for the if you're on the HubSpot or Salesforce technical ecosystems or want to be, and you want to focus on the marketing and the vision and the what and where you're going in the team, and you don't really want to stress about writing formulas and cleaning up data, we actually love doing that. So
Bit of a hypothetical question for you. Are you ready?
42.
Are you prepared? What's that?
I said 42.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, no, that's the answer. The question is,
Yeah.
so see, hypothetical, I may or may not have a time machine up in New Hampshire, right? So next time you're coming up to Pheasant Lane Mall, come hang. And I do have a time machine. So you can use it. It's in the backyard covered in tarp. And it's a particular kind of time machine where it goes back in time and you get to meet yourself a couple days after graduating that undergrad degree. And like you just got out, it's a couple days later, it's a brand new marketer out and about. What kind of advice, what kind of things would you tell yourself? What kind of recommendations would you tell yourself?
Follow your curiosity wherever it takes you, even if it seems a little bit weird or people judge you for it. Just go towards it, and you know what? You'll find your people there.
That's powerful. Follow your curiosity, even if it seems weird or strange. And there's other people there too that followed theirs.
There's guess what? Guess what? Wherever I go, and I think it's like super weird. Turns out other people show up. They're like, "Hey, hi," and they're so happy to see
They're
me.
like, I love that too. You're like, really?
Oh my god!
There you go.
Did we just become best friends? Yes, great.
Yes. Am I dreaming? Is this cool? Psh, psh. Oh, yeah, I'm awake. All right. Sweet. Yeah, man. Well, Jacki, like, I don't know if been in a time warp here. We like literally just warped through an hour. I am so thankful to sit down with you. Sometimes we start talking marketing and then isn't it really just all about helping people and then figuring out what we want? And I love that you were able to go so deep and really get us thinking about some of these topics, not just from smashing best practices and thinking with a system mindset, but following curiosity and not being afraid to like challenge your own thoughts and desires and wants. And man, what a cool thing. So thank you for coming on here.
Ah, well, best time of my whole week. Thank you.
You're the kind of person that makes me want to make this show a 2 or 3 hour show where we just keep it going, people. Like we'll definitely have to have you come back because I know little
I'll come
squirrels out
back.
there. There's a bunch of AI conversations that we can have.
Ooh, let's
So
go.
part
Oh
two
yeah.
coming up. Look in the future for it, y'all. But otherwise, yeah. For those listening, if you learned something, I freaking know you did because I literally have 2 pages of notes front and back. Then share this with someone else, right? Be a thought leader. One person is cool. Just good information. Get it to someone else's hands. Whether it's about some of the things they need to think about in life, or maybe they're just so locked in on best practices they're about to walk off a cliff. Help them out. Get this information out there. And hey, hit Jacki up and reach out. Jacki, what's the best way to reach out?
I'm on LinkedIn all day, every day. You can send me a request. I will accept it and just DM me. I will yap all day. Let's go.
Hell yeah. And that link is right there in the show notes. You can just click right on through, hit connect, tell you love the episode. With that, Jacki, thank you again.
Thank you. So fun.
All right, everyone. This has been a crazy cool episode of the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will see you all next time.